Medical marijuana. Facts behind the fiction. Cannabinoids are chemical compounds which are found within the marijuana plant. Two of the main cannabinoids found within marijuana are THC and CBD. THC is the one you may have heard of, as it's probably the most common. THC is the cannabinoid which essentially is responsible for getting you high. THC is the most psychoactive ingredient found within the marijuana plant, and it includes many benefits such as pain relief and relaxation. It also has drawbacks, however, such as making you feel tired and sometimes unproductive. CBD is another cannabinoid which is found within the marijuana plant. It is similar to THC, yet also different in many ways. CBD doesn't get you high, which allows it to be used a lot more for medicinal uses. CBD has a huge range of benefits with actually none to very little drawbacks. It contains many benefits such as anti-inflammatory properties as well as anxiety reduction. Here is a picture that helps to show some of the medicinal benefits which come along with both THC and CBD. Whilst investigating and looking at my topic, I looked at a couple different stories. One which had benefited from the substance and one who potentially could benefit from the substance.
The family of a young boy who's been refused a licence to take cannabis to control his epilepsy has vowed to fight against the ruling.
The first case study I looked at was a young man named Alfie Dingley. He is a 6-year-old boy who suffers from a very rare genetic mutation which causes him to have multiple seizures a day. After time went by, the parents came across a cannabis-based oil which could potentially help Alfie. After consuming the medicine, his seizures dropped drastically from 150 per month down to just the 1. The medicine is illegal, however, in the UK, so his family had to move to the Netherlands for the treatment. The family soon had to return due to money issues, but the cannabis oil did do wonders. It's still illegal in the UK, so a petition has been made in order for the product to be used for medicinal purposes and to help other people just like Alfie. Another story in which I looked at was another young man named Darren Blackwell, who was admitted to hospital at the tender age of 14. He is a rare case who suffers from one of the rarest cancers in the world. Darren had Langerhans cell sarcoma, and he also contracted leukemia, and having the two at one time had never been heard of before. Nothing was working for Darren and he was on his last lifeline. He didn't have much longer left to live until his mother did some research into a cannabis oil. His mum was left with no other options, so after receiving her son's blessing, she went against the doctor's words as it was illegal and untested on children. However, she bit the bullet and admitted it to her son. The cannabis oil worked miracles for Darren, and within 10 minutes the pain had eased. He made a full recovery and he is now in good health. The marijuana-based product saved the boy's life. Whilst in Amsterdam, I managed to visit a smart shop, which is a shop which focuses on and sells products based on mind-opening and expanding techniques. However, they also specialise in CBD products, so I arranged an interview to find out a bit more about the substance, as well as some surrounding topics. For those who don't know, what is CBD?
CBD are cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are parts of the marijuana plant. Components in the marijuana plants, and you have a lot of them. It's like 421 different components, which is CBD, CBN, THC, all different ones.
How can CBD be beneficial?
In our body, we have receptors to get the cannabinoids in our system. They can be beneficial for people who have cancer. Some cannabinoids can help to reduce like the growth of tumors.
Can it help like pains and stuff like that as well?
Also pain. There's so much different medical reasons people use it, but it's really difficult because it's so many components, different ones, and different kinds of cancer and different kinds of MS and different kinds of people, right? That we're not sure which one will help.
Yeah,
the one.
They haven't quite got enough research into it at the moment, but obviously.
Yeah, because there isn't done much research at all.
But obviously, as time goes on, hopefully.
Right. Yes, we hope.
Invest more money and look further into it and stuff.
Yes, this should be perfect.
Yeah.
Like if people did some research, because there is even some cannabinoids that can tell our cells, because if you have cancer, the cells are like growing because they don't have the connection between them to tell them, hey, we have enough liver cells, so stop growing liver cells, right? So there's not a connection anymore, and the cannabinoids or the CBD can tell your body like, okay, this is enough, you have to destroy yourself, or stop growing, or like give the signals back to the cells that they need.
How is CBD different to THC?
It's a different component in the marijuana plant. Most of the time THC is more a high. You feel stoned, like a little bit heavy and relaxing or uplifting, like a sativa. Most of the time that's like the THC, and the CBD is more in the body.
Do you feel that marijuana should be legal in the UK for medicinal uses?
I think they should be legal everywhere. Some strains can make you more creative, or some like relaxing, and like.
And they can have some really beneficial, like really helpful.
For some people,
powers,
I think yes. For some people, can be really beneficial, but maybe not for all of us. Yes, and for maybe a short time, like.
But for medicinal purposes, you think
or,
it should definitely be.
Yeah, of course. People should, in like have the knowledge, like chemotherapy and that kind of stuff with the heavy illnesses and diseases. People really have like trouble, or epilepsy. Like people really help like with epilepsy. Even children.
I've looked at different case studies and how like marijuana's helped by people's seizures and
I'm
really
getting goosebumps right now thinking about it, because it's like my dad died of cancer.
Oh, really?
And he smoked a lot of pot in his life when he was like a teenager, and then he stopped, and then he got cancer like. I think he was 42 when he died, very young. We didn't know what like marijuana could do for him, but now I know, and it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Nobody told me.
I managed to get an interview with the lead college tutor at my college to find out some more regarding her opinion on the topic of medicinal marijuana. It was a good chat, and I got to find out more about someone's opinion who is high up in the educational sector.
My name is Swapna, and I work here as lead tutor for faculty.
I'm conducting this interview in order to find out the opinion of someone who has authority and someone who has experience with drugs in the educational sector. I want to find out another person's opinion to put together my array of diverse thoughts. If I said the word marijuana, what does it mean to you?
The first word that comes to my mind when somebody says marijuana is drugs. And it's a very negative connotation. It's not a positive one.
Before they should have that initial thought, they should need to look into it and just see what it can do for people.
But by definition, initial thought is exactly that.
Yeah.
It is your first thought.
That is my initial thought.
Yeah, so maybe what people should do, and everybody definitely should do, is for anything, not just this, for anything, that initial thought needs to be put under the microscope of whether it is actually a valid thought, or whether it is something that we have learned. So whether it's a true representation of what it is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I feel like I could ask anyone from any form of background, any form of race, anything like that, and I feel like every single person's initial thought is going to be drug.
Yeah, because we have either been shown or we have seen, in most cases than not, actually, in more cases than not, we have actually seen the negative side of it. We have not been shown, if at all, there is a non-negative side of it. I'm not even saying positive, I'm saying non-negative side of it. So the initial reaction will and is based on what our experiences have been, or what our perception is. And the perception in most people's mind, including myself, is that marijuana is something that is a hallucinogenic drug.
Do you only see cannabis in a negative light, or do you believe it could be positive if handled correctly? So like you said, obviously your initial thought is drug, but do you feel like, are you openly aware to some of the positives or some of the good things it can cause for people?
Yeah, I am quite aware of things that have taken place around the world. So in Australia especially, there's a study that's being conducted as we speak, and that is based on all of these positive medicinal uses of cannabis that people are trying to research on. Unfortunately, the situation is that the research funding that's required to research all of these things has been cut off, which wasn't the case, you'll be surprised to know, which wasn't really necessarily the case a few decades ago. So a few decades ago, I think it was in Israel, where somebody actually wanted to research on the medicinal use of cannabis.
Be there, because if no one's going to fund that research, how are we meant to move on and go further?
Yeah. I'm going to take this to a slightly philosophical angle if I can. You talk about death, right? And yes, a person, we all have known, a person dies, as in dies and cannot breathe again, right? So physically you die, right? But the high THC has been known to kill that person without physically killing them.
That's what I mean.
And I have seen real examples of somebody as determined and young and intelligent. It could be somebody like you. And then
it's slowly eaten away, and it just takes it away.
The way I describe it is, it fries your brain cells.
Yeah.
It actually fries it. Once you fry something, you cannot bring it back.
Yeah.
You cannot unfry it, right? And this is why cannabis is God. It is not God, it has earned its negative publicity.
Due to being a head shooter, I'm assuming you have seen the negative effects marijuana can cause. Do you feel like if it was legalised, monitored and taxed, it would allow a safer environment to consume marijuana?
Not at all. I will never concede to that. I will definitely say yes, the medicinal values need to be researched more, and that needs to be, if it has any merit in it, then obviously the medical profession needs to take that into account. But legalizing marijuana and being made available, in whatever quantity, just like, for example, are you asking as if just like maybe cigarettes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could just go down.
No, definitely not.
What
good will that do? Because that will still be there. The effect that it potentially has, it will still be there. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that changes a person's mind. Of course, there are some underlying mental health conditions that trigger it also, or that could support that change in a person. But if you make it really, really easy for anybody to go and buy it, like cigarettes, if it was legal, it was openly sold, the only thing we're enabling is for people to go and buy it, so that we take the shame away from it. And the shame is not for the medical use. The shame is, the stigma is, or the fear is that use of it. And if we openly sell it as cigarettes, we normalize it. It's normalized enough in the society today where kids will come to us and say, yeah, it's available anywhere, and it's available really cheap. But if we as a system, as a society, legalize it, then we're taking away that one little last hurdle.
When it comes to the laws surrounding marijuana, there is a large difference between the laws within the UK and Amsterdam. As you may know, the UK has a complete no-go policy when it comes to the drug. The drug is a Class B and is illegal to possess, sell or give away, making it completely illegal. However, this is different in Amsterdam. Although many of you may think it's legal there, it's actually not. Marijuana is decriminalised in Amsterdam, which means it isn't legal, but it's a bit more lenient. Shops called coffee shops exist in the country where you're allowed to go and consume marijuana. However, you are only allowed to buy up to 5 grams at any given time. This works well with the law that you are only allowed to possess up to 5 grams on the street before it comes intent to supply. The laws surrounding marijuana in Amsterdam are actually extremely complicated, so if you're looking to visit, make sure to be very careful. Are you aware of some of the miracles that medicinal cannabis products have caused?
I'm aware only because I've been studying, only because I've actively gone out to look for information on Google. I'm going to take one step back. These stories, as you call them, first of all, they should be researched properly, not stories, but the use of marijuana as medicine there should be a program, well funded, and it should be researched first. And only then these results should be published. Now what's happening is it is being published as stories. Now, maybe a few people understand the fact that these are done in controlled situations.
Other typically recreational drugs are being tested and trialled for medicinal purposes. A product made with a ketamine base has shown great results in the aid of major depression. What are your thoughts on this?
I haven't researched into that.
Would you look at other drugs, like I just said, other drugs like ketamine or other drugs that are typically seen in a bad light? Do you feel like more research should also be done into them to look for their medicinal benefits, or do you feel like they're absolutely a no-no because they already have that negative light shed on them?
Anything, if you just hold on to just one thought, if you say, no, what I'm thinking, that's the only thing that's right, and if you don't even contemplate, don't even think about, oh, actually, that other side could be right, could be. Let's find out if it's right or not. I think that's the right way to go about it. So I usually hold up a coin when I have students sat in front of me, and I hold up a coin in front of them, and I say, what do you see? And generally they'll say heads, and I'll say, no, I don't see heads. There is no heads here. I see tails.
Medical marijuana has helped many people who suffer from seizures as a result of different illnesses and diseases. If you were to suffer from such a terrible disease, would you turn to medicinal marijuana for aid?
Answer your question, to sort of put it pedantically, to answer your question. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't say about myself, but I'm a parent also. And if my son, I've got 2 sons, and if my son suffers from something that I can see them going through pain every day, that they cannot live their life fully because of that. So, you're talking about seizures, 350 seizures
Yeah.
per month, and that's one of the case studies that is sort of highlighted in the media, and that's how I know it. As a parent, if I see my child go through that, and if then somebody comes and says to me, Swapna, maybe you should try this. Someone else has tried this, and this has gone well. I'm not convinced that I will turn around and say no. I'm not convinced that I'll turn around and say, no, actually, I'll wait even longer.
It's hard for you to put yourself in that position because when I feel like you'd have to physically see your son or your daughter in that pain for you to think, right.
I'm not convinced that I'll just turn around and say, no, it hasn't been researched enough. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to try. I will definitely be compelled to go and find out, at least meet those parents and at least talk to them, see what it is for me, for myself, to be convinced to use it. Whether I'll try to say no, I don't know. I really don't know whether I'll actually just say no, that's bad.
Them just a push me, me say Scotland Yard.